Right then, good morning everybody. It's nice to see so many familiar faces again. So who's going to start me at £15 here? Nobody? We're going to leave the stands blank, are we? No starters at £15. £15. Now you heard the gentleman, there's nothing I can do about it.
Surely. There's all extra stalls here, and
I know,
no
you
crying,
heard the
no
ruling
crying
laid down
over it.
by
There's
the
a lot-
councillors and that's it.
There's a
So
lot
it's
more
£15
extra stalls and
a
everything.
I'm sorry.
I think you're pricing us off the street. I really think that.
£15?
£15 and bid. Then we all finished at £15 at the first stance. Then I'll finish at £15. Gentlemen there.
I'd like to thank you all again for not being against it.
No, £8. Ladies bid then how many feet do you want? 10 feet. £8 bid. Any advance made? We all finished at £8, surely not. All finished at £8 here. 9, 10, 11. Ladies bid at 11 then. We all finished at 11. 12, 13. Ladies bid then at 13. We all finished on the ladies bid at 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Gentlemen at 20 then. We all finished at 20. All finished at 20. Good morning everybody. Nice to see you all back again. At least it's not raining today. Right then, we've all heard all that, so we'll start with £15 and who's opening at 15 then? Bid 15 there. Is there any advance in 15? 16. Everybody? £26 there then. We're all finished at 26. All finished at 26. 27. 28. 29. 30. 31. 32. 33. 34. 35. 36. There it is. We all finished at £36 for the stance, then I'll finish at 36.
37.
37, 38. 38 now. 40. 41. All finished at 41 now. All finished at 41. That's £41 for that gentleman there. In case anyone requires that information. We've got a good bit to sell down the street before we come to a break or anything, so who's going to start me at £8 a foot here? Nobody wants it? £8 bid. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. We're here at 21 and we all finished 22, 23, 24, 25. We all finished at £25 here. All finished at 25 a foot here.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 1993 auction for the stances for the Lammas Market. Now I've got a whole list of regulations and whatnot that I'm going to read out here. I've got to say that we've got your unredoubtable auctioneer here. The auctioneer's word will be law, and if you don't accept that, then mine certainly will be. Now, I'd like to draw your attention to the situation regarding the bids. The minimum length of the stances will be 10 feet, and the maximum length will be 40 feet. Now, this stance here, as usual, has a reserve price on it, and it will be only available to bids from those who are members of the guild. The reserve price on this stance was £15 per foot. We're still not metric. Now, a reserve price of £8 for the stances between Bell Street and the West Port. And I'll remind you that under the Civil Government Scotland Act, that all the traders who are successful in gaining a stance will require to be licensed. Now, the licences at one time were available in Rose Street in the Baptist Hall. This year, the North East 5 District Council officers will go around and make sure that you've got your licence.
Can I ask a question before you go, please?
Oh, not again.
I ask you every year, why is the showman supposed to be £15 and everything else £8 minimum? It seems very unfair that you're discriminating against this, and I say it every year.
Yes, well, you get the same answer. That is the decision of the North East 5 District Council, and that's the end of story. Right, carry on.
Good morning, everybody. Nice to see so many familiar faces back again. And who's going to start making some time? Through to the first stance. 15 and bid. Any advance in 15 per foot for the first stance? So we all finished at 15. Now all finished at £15. Is there.
I'd like to thank you all once again.
Right then, having 40 feet outweighing 500 would not be maximum footage for the ones. I'm competing with a big lorry.
I think you're winning.
The maximum footage you can buy at any one time is 40 foot. 14 foot that way, and the minimum is 10, am I right? 10 foot is the minimum stance size you can buy. Now, who's going to open me at £8 here per foot? 8 and bid. Any advance rate? 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. It's £24 at the front now. We all finish at £24 per foot at the front here. 25, 26. Still a bit at the front at 26. We all finished at 26 here now. All finished at 26 this time. 27. 28. We all finished at 28. Then that bids at the front again at 28. We all finished at 28. Now all finished at 28 this time. Definitely been a many feet.
Congratulations. Nice to see you.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to the Lammas Fair in St Andrews. And as you can see, as usual, the weather is typical St Andrews weather. It's like this all the time. So I'm led to believe. Now I can see a whole lot of faces here that no doubt they can recognise me just as well as I can recognise them now. However, I might point out to you, as you probably know, that very shortly there will be a change in situation here, and very likely there will be a new face here, because the Secretary of State for Scotland, God rest his merry soul, has decided that there will be a new unitary authority here, and God knows what's going to happen in the next couple of years. Anyway, having griped on that, as I say, I welcome you to the 1994 Lammas Fair, and before I do that I'd like to read out the rules, and I know that there are one or two of you here got them off by heart. I see this usual gentleman here who has had them read out so often that he probably knows them better than I do. and he's ready here to try and do us, no doubt. Right, there'll be a reserve price of £15. £15 per foot for this part here in front of Boots the Chemist. And I would remind you that also this site is available only for showmen. That is, showmen who are members of the guild. And no bids will be entertained from traders. There will be a reserve price for £8 per foot for all other stances in South Street. And I would remind you, when you're calculating the length that you need, to include the length of the tow bar. All right, thank you very much. Well, here's the sun shining, ready to start business. The auctioneer is camping at the bit, so I'll pass it over to her.
Can I just ask again why it's £15 for us and £8 for everybody else, please?
Because we have decided it will be £15 here for this stand, and you asked the same question
Every-
last year, and you're getting exactly the same answer.
I'd feel better if it started at 8.
I've no doubt.
Good morning. Nice to see you all again. I hope we're going to have no fighting or carrying on. Let's just get the job done and let you get away back to office, eh? There's good chaps. Right, who's going to open in 15 years? Of course, 15 and bid. Any advance in 15? We all laying off this year? Same as last year, if I'm right? All finished at 15, then all finished at £15.
All ably worked out.
Thank you very much, Mr. Showman. It's a waste of spending my money for me.
16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. 28, that's right in front of me at £28. Now we all finished at £28. All finished at 28. Many feet. 16 foot.
Well, welcome to the 1995 auction for the stands for this year's fair. This is the last year that this will be held under the auspices of the North East Fife District Council, because as everybody knows, at least I hope everybody knows, or they should know by this time, that next year there's a new local government situation, and it will then become known as the Fife Council. What difference it makes or will make, nobody will yet know. It'll probably mean that the rates will go up.
And the ground will grow.
I beg your pardon, the council tax, the rates are it's the same. I'll read out the rules for you once again so that you all remember. You know them off by heart by this time.
They change them every year.
No. Change something. The ground here, that's immediately in front of Boots the Chemist, will be auctioned as one lot. And the successful bidder will be required to pay for the entire site, which is 31 feet. You notice that the Lammas Fair doesn't extend to the metric. And this ground, as everybody knows, is for members of the Showman's Guild only. And no bids will be entertained from traders. You'll also be relieved to know that there is a reserve price on this piece of ground of £465.
Mr. Nairn, could you tell me, I'm starting before you finish now, could you tell me about it? You're chaining my hands together, now you're chaining me down to the ground. As you know, I've stood on this bit of ground for a long time.
I know,
and you're making it impossible for me to operate.
And as you know, my heart's bleeding.
Yeah, but you're making it impossible for us to operate. You're discriminating against showmen for this bit of ground.
Well,
it
no,
starts
you
at
see,
£10 everywhere else per foot, apart from this
people
bit.
will argue that I'm discriminating against traders. There'll be a reserve price of £8 per foot for all other stances in South
You see what I mean, Mr. Nairn? That's completely unfair. I think you're discriminating against showmen. Us showmen out here, you're discriminating against them.
Trade description law should come into act here.
Go on, Jimmy. Definitely.
I'm making the speech here.
Listen, there's a thing called a Trade Description Act, and they should be coming into
Yeah,
law
well, you
here.
go and read it then. You know
Right. Now we've all heard what's been said about this stand. 465.
£465.
Now, I will remind everybody it's cash only. No cheques will be acceptable for payments for your stances.
Guarantees and all.
When we get down the other end, it's a minimum of 10 foot, maximum of 40 foot. Just the usual procedure. And I take it the gentleman there, much as he's grumped, is going to bid £465.
I'm very much on the protest. We're not even getting the start at £10 now.
There's no fun.
We're not even getting the start. You might as well call me in the office and say, come here and give us your money.
Nah, it's quite correct, but you'll bid 465, I take it.
Under protest.
Fine, I'll accept it under
I know, I'm
protest,
stupid,
under
but
anything else you like. Now, the minimum price per foot will be £8. The maximum you can buy is 40. The minimum you can buy is 10 foot. Now, we all clear about that. You'll pay by cash, no checks accepted. We start off at £8 per foot, and we're here. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Ladies bid at 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. That's the front of 23, 24. Hello. At central 24, 25, 26. At central 26, 27, 28, 29. That's the front of 29, we've all finished at 29. All finished at 29 now. Just a bit many feet. 16.
Sorry, how many? 16.
16.
Could I ask you all to gather round,
Get your money's worth.
hands in the pockets? Could I introduce you to Councillor Clark, who's taken over from Bob Nairn as the chairman of the City Service?
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to all the showmen and traders to St Andrews to this traditional Lammas Market on behalf of the new Fife Council. I've been asked to draw your attention to some of the duties, some of the main important regulations which are laid down and must be adhered to. I believe successful bidders will all receive copies of the full regulations. The minimum length of stances will be 10 feet, and the committee reserves the right to stipulate minimum rents for specific areas. A plan is on display in the window of the information office defining the areas to be reserved for fairground types of stalls and areas for traders. The maximum length of stands to be auctioned to traders will be 40 feet. The ground immediately in front of Boots the Chemist in South Street will be auctioned as one lot, and the successful bidder will be required to pay for the entire site, which extends to 31 feet. This ground is available to showmen only who hold a valid membership of the Showmen's Guild. No bids will be entertained from traders, and there will be a reserve price of £465 on the piece of ground. There will be a reserve price of £8 per foot for all other stances in South Street from Bell Street to the West Court. Shows must not encroach upon the foot pavements, and in order that a street width of not less than 20 feet be provided in the centre of the street, they must not extend from the curb line to a greater extent than that marked out where the stances are let. This includes any canopy or projection up to 14 feet from ground level.
Just before you go, can I ask why that it's £8 a foot down there and £465 a foot here, please? We get discriminated against every year. I'm just telling everybody the old thing.
It's £40 a foot, not 465. Let's not get carried away with ourselves.
£460
£40 a foot. The minimum bid that we're starting at for this stand, starting and moving up, is £40 per foot.
The lady just said 460.
That means that if you multiply £40 per foot by 31 foot, that's the total that comes out.
£1,240.
She's over here somewhere.
Well, that's...
If it was £40 a foot, that would be £1,240 for 30.
You're putting it up again for us.
That's information I was given. But they're saying that 31 foot will be sold as one lot at £465 for the stands. Now, are you going to take it or not?
Was that £15 a foot?
Yes.
It's the same as last year then.
I have to bid on
It
the
didn't run
protest.
as much last year. Come on, the sun's shining.
There's a lady I was trying to, the lady's never had to give us an answer yet. We're going to let her work for her money.
So you're bidding £465 for the stanza, and no one's bidding against you as usual, I take it. No, that's fine. Usual start of the market, thank you.
The hour has struck, ladies and gentlemen, and here we are to open the auctioning for the stances for the 1997 Lammas Market. Now, it may be that some of you noticed that I hadn't been here last year, and I'm here now this year to confirm that I'm not dead. You would also note that all the arguments that went on previously are likely to be dealt with in the same manner as they were dealt with previously. In other words, I'm the boss. Now, you'll recollect also that this stance here is only available to the members of the Showman's Guild. And you'll also recollect that because of harangues that went on in the past and the concerted, in my view, effort to reduce the bidding in this it took on previously, it's now decided that this will be a reserve price of £465.
Which we do object to, by the way.
Right,
we do
okay.
strenuously object to.
Well, suit yourself, but that's what the council has decided.
It's out of order.
That's what you want to decide.
£465. You don't want it, you don't take it. End of story. Next.
But that doesn't make it right.
Trying to work in
That
with the
still does
Showman's
not make
Guild.
it right.
But that's not working it in with them. How come they get charged £7 a foot and it's going to be 15 here?
Make your objections in writing to the Fife Council.
But we don't get any further forward.
You write a letter to just put it in.
Well, suit yourself. That's the decision. It's not my decision. I'm carrying it out. I'm quite happy to carry it out. I remind you that the minimum length of the stances will be 10 feet. And the council reserves the right to stipulate the minimum rents for specific areas. I remind you also that there is a reserve right of £8, a reserve price of £8 per foot for all our stances in South Street from Bell Street to the Westport. Yes, it gets worse, I can tell you. It's not going to get any better, that's why.
Well, it is. You're robbing us for twice the price
I'm not
because we're
robbing you.
showmen.
I'm not robbing
because
you,
we're
sir.
showmen.
I'm telling you that it's now Fife Council and it's not going to get any better. I'll now ask the auctioneer to start the auction.
And I ask one question. If this is not let to showmen, and you've just stated it's for showmen only,
Yes?
if they don't bid, will it be left vacant?
Yes, it will.
That's fine. That's fine.
Good morning. Nice to see the nice familiar faces back again. Come on, smile at me for any
You don't
sake.
give us anything to smile at.
Oh, come on.
Do we have to take this as one lot? We don't even get a chance to start the bidding at a reasonable price.
Let's start. Right, so is anyone going to bid? Now you usually bid, so let's get on with it. 15 and bid. Any advance is £15. Next bid at 15 and we all finished at £15 for the stands. All finished at 15. The usual gentleman. Thank you.
I'd like to thank you all again, showman.
Well, it saves you reporting anybody, Albert.
Yes, it is.
Saves you reporting anybody, son.
We're up and running again, are we? Who'll start me at £8 here? 8.
Yes, it is.
Do you have to fit between the tray or can you pass it?
Well, whatever you want. 8.
8.
Well done.
There you are. Stick to it.
That's
Nobody messing about.
Thank you.
Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Can you all hear me? Welcome to St Andrews and the traditional Lammas Market auction. Introduce myself. My name is Councillor Francis Melville, and it is my pleasure to welcome all showmen and traders to the Lammas Market. And I hope you all have successful 2 days trading. As usual, unfortunately, there are a number of regulations which I must bring to your attention, and especially so this year, because as usual, there are a number of changes. In particular, I would make all traders aware that only those who have street trader's license for East Fife area will be allowed to bid for ground, and they will already be in possession of the license and identification badge. Bids will not be taken from traders who are not already in possession of this license. All persons working on a trade stand must be licensed. The ground here, immediately in front of Boots the Chemist, will be auctioned as one lot, and the successful bidder will be required to pay for the entire site, which extends to 9 metres. And notice the difference, ladies and gentlemen, we are now in the metric system. This ground is available to showmen only who hold a valid membership of the Showmen's Guild. No bids will be entertained from traders. There will be a reserve price of £450 on this piece of ground. There will also be a reserve price of £25 per metre for all other stances in South Street from Bell Street to the West Port. I also remind you that if at the end of the auction all the trading spaces are not taken up, it will then be offered to the Showmen's Guild at the reserve price to occupy with non-retail stalls only.
Councillor, can we just have a little question here before we start?
Yes, of course.
And I've said it all before, but you've done it even worse this year. It's twice the price, twice the minimum price here than what it is down there. Twice the minimum price. You're going to kill us dead. You're going to find that this fair is going to go away from showmen. Last little piece to bid for, and you're killing it. No wonder people don't bid against me, I've studied that, because they're not as daft as I am.
If you actually work out the price, I've said it's changed to metres and it's actually been rounded down if you work it out for
Yeah,
what it
Yes,
was
we're not
last
saying
year.
for the price from last year.
It's
the price from here
£25
to
a metre
there.
down there. There's something wrong
It's like
somewhere.
you're
Somebody should
discriminating
look at the
against us
books
because
here.
we're showmen, charging us twice the price.
Somebody should look at the books here. And it's definitely not fair, double.
Well, it's all been worked out.
Well, I
and
know,
that's what was said.
I know that, and it's there, but it's not right. It isn't right. £50 double.
It's not fair trading to charge us double the what some, because I'm a showman and they're a market trader, to charge me double the minimum price.
And one thing I've got to
not
say, and I'll
fair.
say with everybody, and all market traders and everything the same. When you put your prices up, ours have to go up as well. And the public are the ones that suffer. In the end of the day, what you're doing is you're running this market down to the ground.
Yes, what a good idea. Hello. Right, nice to see you all as usual.
Is it per foot or per metre?
It's per metre and the minimum price is £25 per metre. If you require that converted,
Yes, £8 or £4.
where is it?
£8 or £4.
That chart there has converted.
33
The
pence.
minimum is £25 per metre,
£8
and it's so confusing this year, but never mind. Right, who will start me at this one at £25 metre?
£25.
25.
I want to see the licence of the bid against them.
Well, you watch them
I'm
then.
watching. Nobody's bidding against. We're all bidding against anybody else.
And we all finish at £25 per metre. All finish at £25 now. How many metres?
5 metres.
5 metres.
5 metres.
Well, good morning, everybody. It's not as warm as I expected, unfortunately. As chairman of Fife Council's East Area Regulation Committee, it is my great pleasure once again to welcome all the showmen and traders to the Lammas Market. This will be the last one of the century. As usual, we have regulations, and you well remember last year that when we introduced the new system of pre-licensing, there were quite a few problems. I hope these have all now been resolved. All traders who have a street trader's licence for the East Fife area will be allowed to bid for ground. Traders who are in possession of a current street trader's licence issued by Fife Council, but not for East Fife, will also be allowed to bid. And if successful, will then be required to obtain the appropriate licence for St Andrews when making payment for their stands. Traders already in possession of a street trader's licence for St Andrews will also be allowed to bid for the ground. I hope that's much clearer than it was last year. The ground here immediately in front of Boots will be auctioned as one lot, and the successful bidder will be required to pay for the entire site, which extends to 9 metres. This ground, as you know, is available to showmen only who hold a valid membership of the Showmen's Guild. No bids will be entertained from traders. There will be, for this site, a reserve price of £450. Again, we had slight problems for the stances further down because Fife Council decided last year, in their wisdom, to go metric. You will be pleased to know that this year there will be a reserve price of £8 per foot. If you want to stick in millimetres, it's 300 millimetres. For all stances in South Street from Bell Street to the West Port, that's £8 per foot. That's for 2 days. I do hope the weather improves, and I shall now hand over, as usual, the rest of the bidding to Sandra Urey.
Before you hand it over, just this bidding here and making us buy this in one plot and fixing the price. You know, we don't. It's not bidding. It's come and give us your money. It's not bidding. It's not an auction. This bit here. But once you've fixed it to a certain thing and that, to showman, as you know, I've stood on it for a number of years, and no other showman can have it now because, as far as this goes, I have showman's guild rights on it. So it's not an auction. You're just putting the price up to take the money all the time. Yeah, exactly.
Listen, at the end of the day, we've got to pass it on to the public who's walking down the street, this extra increase. And it's
I know there hasn't been one this year, but that's what happens. That's all that happens. Anyway, one other question. How far over the lines can we go?
God.
Is that everybody or just me?
No.
Is that everybody or just me?
Away from you there.
That's right. That's what I'm just asking there now, because there's a lot of free feet going about here, and it's £15 a foot. That's quite valuable.
50-foot frontage.
I don't think there's a thing on the street on its mark, and there's not a thing on very little on the street on their own ground. Showman.
We'll be going round checking on it.
Hello. Hello. Good morning, everybody. He does it every year. A good month starts the day fine. I agree with you. You're going to pay £450 for the
No,
stand.
I'm going to bid £1 a foot. What I pay is different things. What I would like to bid is £1 a foot.
Yeah, well, what you'd like to bid is £1 a foot. You're going to pay £450 for the whole lot because no other showman ever bids against you. We do it every year.
You see, there is a few gentlemen still about.
Yes,
right?
dear, I'm one of them.
I wouldn't like to think so.
Everybody focusing now is my family.
And welcome to St Andrews for the traditional Lammas Market auction. My name is Councillor Frances Melville, and it is my pleasure to welcome all showmen and traders to the Lammas Market. I hope that you all have a successful 2 days trading. As usual, there are a number of regulations which I must bring to your attention, and especially so this year. I would make all traders aware that only those who have a street trader's licence for East Fife area will be allowed to bid for ground. Traders who are in possession of a current street trader's licence issued by Fife Council but not for the East area will also be allowed to bid, and if successful will then be required to obtain the appropriate licence for St Andrews when making payment for that stance. Traders already in possession of a street trader's licence for St Andrews will also be allowed to bid for ground. The ground here, immediately in front of what was Burt's shop, the chemist's, will be auctioned as one lot, and the successful bidder will be required to pay for the entire site, which extends to 9 metres. This ground is available to showmen only, who hold a valid membership of the Showman's Guild. No bids will be entertained from traders. There will be this year a reserve price of £450 on this piece of ground. There will be a reserve price of £10 per foot for all other stances in South Street from Bell Street to the West Port. And before I hand over to Sandra,
I'm here.
Sandra, you're here to start the bidding. I understand the showmen have something to give us.
I'd like to give these books. It's the history of our business, past and future, and I'd like you to have a good read of them for us. And if, when you've got time, you can maybe put them in the library for the schools, the primary ones and the primary 2 schools. Lovely.
Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you. We're not going to fight this morning, are we? Every year?
I only asked why we have to pay more than everybody else. That's only asked. I've never had an answer yet. No, it looks like it. Well, no, I'll do the same as the last year and bid £1 a foot. I know what I'll be paying, but... Good man, good man. But that's how it is. Is that the same as last year, or was it not? Is it? I thought it was 415 last year.
It's a proper 3-foot rule. Right then, we're starting from the corner, no breaks for ages, and we're starting at £10 per foot. And who's starting the bidding? Hello, 10. Are we all
Come on, lads,
10?
play the game. We'll all get on.
The bid is right in front of me at £10. We all finished at £10. All finished at £10 for this part of the street. How many feet do you require?
6. Well, first of all, they've used up more spaces, so that's better than last year. And we have weeded out some of the illegal traders that were operating. It hasn't got the impact it used to have, and we are disappointed in that. But one of the important things everybody has to remember is that the Lammas Market situation is all self-financing. Yes, the income has gone down slightly, but that's partly because of increased costs from the roads and transportation services having to prepare the centre of the town. And again this year we've had to remove some of the pollution crossings and the network there. But the money is self-financing, and the Common Good Fund is very important to a lot of small and large organisations in St Andrews in their applications for all sorts of schemes they want to do. Again, we will be considering after this year's event what happens to the auction, but it is vital, I think, that we continue this because it is the only one that continues to operate at this in the whole of the entire UK. And speaking to holidaymakers this morning, they come every year and they want to see it continue, as do, I think, most people in the town. I know there is a small concern by the police for the large fairground attractions that operate further down South Street and the nearness and proximity to some of the buildings, but that again is under discussion. Again, one of the lovely things this morning is we presented at the end of the auction with booklets from the showman to be distributed to the library and for the children's library and for around the schools, and they're on the showground families, the fairground, its history and its future. And we're delighted to receive these copies because I'm actually going to read them myself. They're very interesting and many people don't actually know what goes on to the whole makeup of the Showman's Guild.
Well, good morning everybody and welcome to St Andrews for the traditional Lammas Market auction. I'm rather sad that the audience gets fewer and fewer each year. That's maybe just everything staying the same and not much is changing and people know what's going to happen, but I am rather sad about that. My name is Councillor Frances Melville and it's my pleasure to welcome all the showmen and traders to the Lammas Market, and I hope that you all have a successful 2 days trading. As usual, there are a number of regulations which I must bring to your attention, and especially so this year, and you should all have a copy of this sheet. I would make all traders aware that only those who have a street trader's licence for East Fife area will be allowed to bid for the ground. Traders who are in possession of a current street trader's licence issued by Fife Council, not for East Fife, will also be allowed to bid, and if successful, will then be required to obtain the appropriate licence for St Andrews for making payment for their stamps. Traders already in possession of a street trader's licence for St Andrews will also be allowed to bid for ground. The ground immediately what was in front of Boots and is now called Active 8, no longer a chemist, will be auctioned as one lot, and the successful bidder will be required to pay for the entire site, which extends to 9 metres. This grant is available to showmen only who hold a valid membership of the Showman's Guild. No bids will be entertained from traders. There will be a reserve price of £450 on this piece of ground. There will be a reserve price of £12 for 300 millimetres, that is 1 foot, for all other stances in South Street from Bell Street to the West Port. All stalls and vehicles shall be provided with suitable fire extinguishing equipment, which should be readily available for use, and the equipment shall have been maintained in the last year and shall be subject to inspection by the Fire Master. All stall holders must comply with the Betting, Gaming and Lotteries Act 1963 and the Gaming Act 1968. No vehicles or stalls will be permitted on the pavements. Anyone found contravening this regulation will be issued with an account the same day or £10. Should the account not be settled immediately, the persons concerned will not be allowed to operate further.
It is totally forbidden for any showman, trader or stall holder to offer goldfish as prizes. Just another sign of the times. Anyone found contravening this regulation will be closed down and will not be allowed to operate further. Goods offered for sale by traders must be 1. Of a satisfactory quality fit for the purpose and as described. 2. No trader shall have in possession for sale any counterfeit goods or any goods bearing unauthorized trademarks. 3. All traders shall clearly indicate in writing the prices which these goods are offered for sale. And finally, all traders must display in a prominent position on their stand their name, address and telephone number. A full list of the regulations covering the Lammas Market will be given to those who are successful in obtaining ground, and are advised to read them carefully, as they will be rigorously enforced. There will also be copies of the regulations displayed on lamp standards in the entire length of South Street. And finally, I hope the weather sincerely improves and you all have a very good Lammas Market. Thank you all very much. And now it remains, as usual, to hand over to Sandra to do the auction.
Council Melville, I see you've never done anything about it. I was paying more for this bit than what the market traders do at the end. I don't want to put theirs up. I want to put this one down. Nothing. Every year I say about it, and you don't do anything about it. So I'm going to shut up this year.
Well,
say nothing.
I will actually answer, because there's a whole lot of issues which I think is appropriate today just to say, and it's quite brief. As you know, all the income goes back, that is the profit left over after we've sorted all the other things out. Goes into
Lucky to have any.
Not much, and that's the point I'm going to make. Goes into the Common Good Fund. And that Common Good Fund is for the sole purposes of the common good of St Andrews for all sorts of applications. And there have been many very worthy causes that gain from this. Unfortunately, because of market forces and because of transportation and various other services, you will note there are many other obstacles in the centre of the town now that had to be removed to prepare the way for the Showman's Guild coming in. And we find that services are now charging for that, and that goes into the Lammas account and is knocked off before any profit or income is left over for the Common Good Fund, and that is getting higher and higher, and we have an awful lot more commitments from the Common Good Fund, and therefore we are all very concerned about this. And so therefore your question, you know, I'm afraid there's no chance of it ignored, because it is for a very good cause. It's not as if it goes all back into my council, it is for the common good of St Andrews, and that is extremely important for everyone to remember.
Can I just say, you used to see the showman come here and maybe 10 bid for this bit of ground. Over the last few years, I've had it, but there's been nobody bid against me because it's too dear. That's the reason, is because it's too dear.
I'm also going to be extremely brief and maybe cause the officials a lot of worries. I want you, we need your feedback, the showmen and the traders. What would your feeling be if it was not in the centre of the town, it was moved?
I wouldn't come.
Outside.
I wouldn't come personally. I don't suppose any of the
I don't want a decision now, but just we need your feedback on this, because there's a whole other things we have to sort out.
This is the Lammas Market, and if it's not here, it would be no good for us whatsoever.
Because we have health.
All the people of St Andrews and the visitors, they wouldn't want to walk down on the links of that there for it, neither.
Well, there will be a mock-up working group meeting after the event is over, if I'm right, and these issues will be discussed, and you will all be issued with letters just asking for your views on all these issues.
It would need to be about 5 pence a foot to even try it.
Into that. Good morning.
Good again, brother.
Hello.
Good morning.
How are you? Just the
Rain.
same as always.
Raining now,
It's
isn't
not
it?
going to rain for long. And I take it you'll be the only one going to the stand.
I don't know. I don't know.
Right. Is anyone going to the against them?
You didn't, but
Rain this morning.
you just take my money, I don't even have to bid anymore.
No, I'm afraid that spoils
Yeah, it spoils the fun for you now.
nothing else.
Just show me what I've got to pay.
Just talking about the health and safety issues for the Lammas Market and changes. And I think it's important that everybody remembers all the proceeds go to the Common Good Fund, not Fife Council. But again, we're getting increased charges from the services to clear the ground for the Lammas Market coming in, and that increases. And therefore, if we don't put the charges up, if we don't change situations, we're going to run out of money. And we have a lot of heavy commitments We have the bar theatre, we're committed to that, and we need to get income for other applications to provide benefit to some of the applications that come in to use that money. One of our worries for many years has been the health and safety factor. The emergency services have been very worried for several number of years. But after this event this year, the working group will have to sit down and really seriously look at all these issues, whether we retain all of the market in the town centre or some of the market in the town centre and put the rides, say, elsewhere. We want to know what the townsfolk think, what the residents think, the visitors, the businesses, the hoteliers, the tourist trade, everything. Over and above the emergency services, what we do with the Lammas Market. We cannot stand still, and we can't second guess anymore. Fife Council must know what the town wants to do with the Lammas Market. Do you want to add anything, Jim?
Only that we seek the views of the public, the showmen, community council, the shopkeepers on this proposal. Obviously the market has been going for many hundreds of years, and overnight we just can't change it. So we'd welcome the views of all the citizens of St Andrews.